Welcome to Daily Office Devotions. I'm Reggie Kidd, and every Monday through Friday, I offer devotional observations on some portion of that day's readings for morning prayer from the Book of Common Prayer. I'm so very glad to be with you this Monday. This happens to be year 2 of the daily lectionary, and this week we are in proper 22. Today finds me pondering the arresting imagery in Hosea. The prophet Hosea has used powerful and penetrating metaphors and similes to communicate Yahweh's persistent appeals to Israel. Yahweh is an estranged husband who will not be denied, chapter 1 verse 2 through chapter 3 verse 5. He is a disappointed father who will not give up on his child or son, chapter 11, verses 1 through 9. He is like a lion who roars both in wrath, chapter 5, verse 14 and 13, 7, and in love, chapter 11, verse 10. Likewise, Hosea has used compelling metaphors and similes to characterize his people. Israel is, or is like, a wayward wife, chapter 1, verse 2 through chapter 3, verse 5. A luxuriant vine, chapter 10, verse 1. A trained heifer, chapter 10, verse 11. A lost child or son, chapter 11, verses 1 through 9. A flock of disoriented birds, chapters 8 and chapter 11. Metaphor transfers the meaning of one thing to another for the sake of comparison, from the Greek metaphorein, meaning transfer. Simile likens one thing to another. Likewise, for the sake of comparison, from the Latin similis, meaning similar or like. Metaphor and simile provide the Bible with tools to reshape our perception of reality. This is that, isn't it? Or this is like that, isn't it? Hosea wants us to reshape our imaginations, inviting us to see Yahweh's resolute love for us and our resolute rebelliousness and our squandering of his love. And Hosea wants us to picture how we might answer God's resolute love by our turning from our irresolution in love. In the final chapter of the book of Hosea, the prophet makes one last direct appeal and then showers us with one last burst of metaphors and similes of his love. It's really quite beautiful and moving, I think. Yahweh's appeal for repentance, Hosea chapter 14, verses 1 through 3 and verse 8. Acknowledge that you are the one responsible for your situation, chapter 14, verse 1. Take words with you, the fruit of your lips, that is, name the specifics and ask for forgiveness, chapter 14, verse 2. Confess that the true God is your only hope, chapter 14, verses 3 and 8. Metaphors and similes of God's amazing promises to re-Edenize the world through Israel. I will be like the dew to Israel, Hosea chapter 14, verses 4 through 7. Like the lily, Yahweh will beautify the ugly. Like the forests of Lebanon, Yahweh will strengthen the weak. His shoots shall spread out. Yahweh will make Israel's now contracted spiritual heart once again expansive. Like the olive tree, Yahweh will make Israel's now unproductive spiritual life once again the source of spiritual value in the world. Fragrance like that of Lebanon, Yahweh will replace the stench of rot exuding from Israel with a delightful aroma. Live beneath my shadow. Flourish as a garden. Where there is now withered spiritual dryness, Yahweh will create lush and luxuriant spiritual life. Hosea offers one last simile for Yahweh and his people. I am like an evergreen cypress. From me comes your fruit, Hosea chapter 14, verse 8 in the RSV. Whether he got it directly from Hosea or not, Vincent van Gogh was profoundly shaped in his spiritual life by this image. The most memorable line, in my view, of the one sermon that survives from a young Vincent's short career in ministry is the aspiration he urges upon us to be born again to an evergreen life. I pray that God's evergreen life becomes your own. Be blessed this day.